All right, everybody, welcome. As people are joining, today is September 16th. It's the Konflux community call. Agenda is in the usual place. I'll share my screen here just to show. The tab. We've got Brian wants to talk about an ADR on KITE, and we've got a few other ADR updates here. At the very end, last week we talked about changing the meeting time, so we'll come back to look at the results. Greg, I see your comment. I saw the link error just before. We'll get to it when we get there. But Brian, do you want to go first to talk about this pull request 255?
Yes, hi everyone. So I'm working on a service that was requested called the Issues Dashboard, and I was put in charge of implementing the backend for this service. And in the process of trying to deploy it to a staging cluster, it was requested that I created an ADR for this, just so everyone's clear on the requirements and how this should end up working. And yeah, it's currently in review, and I hope you guys can take a look at it and let me know what you think.
Awesome, thank you. I think we're trying out this new process. We're now like 3 or 4 like iterations of meeting into it, where when we have a new ADR posted, come and announce it here in the call, and we'll start now like a 2-week timer for a request for comments period. And so 2 weeks from now is going to be September 30th, or October 1st will be the day after. And at that point, Konflux Governance Committee will try to call it on the ADR and either approve it or reject it. Or if things are still ambiguous in the discussion, we'll like extend the comment period. So that's just what you can expect out of that.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. I did not know that. Thank you.
You're welcome. If anybody has comments about the ADR you want to talk about now, we could do that. We can do that. I'll pause for a raise of hands if anyone wants to ask about it while you have Brian here. I'll let it sit, so no. Thanks, Brian. We'll follow up async on the pull request and try to get all the comments resolved. Okay, sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. The next point on the agenda is another ADR that I filed on the events API. So I'm like playing the same role Brian just did in announcing my new ADR. This was an ADR a decision that came up while we were having an in-person meeting earlier in the year back in May. We were talking about the events API. So if you don't know, the events API is a standard Kubernetes feature where different controllers can emit events that give extra information to a privileged user in a namespace to kind of see what's going on. And some of our controllers, in particular multi-platform controller and others, emit very useful events that are like interesting to a user, that they show the progress of MPC provisioning a node and getting it ready and then finally making it available. So when your pipeline runs and kind of stalls waiting for an MPC node to become available, the events API can tell you about it. We realized that though that the events API is not a thing that we like expected users to be depending on, and it has other problems of that if a user, for instance, doesn't have rights to view a certain kind of resource, but they do have rights to view the events API, then they can learn about resources that they don't have the right to view in the first place by looking at the events API. And so we want to close that access. We want to remove the ADR proposes to remove from our RBAC roles the ability to read the events API, so that we would expect users are not depending on it directly. That's the spirit of the ADR. And so just like Brian's, I'm announcing it here. If you have questions about it now, we can talk about it. But otherwise, in 2 weeks, we'll try to call it on this. But please add comments on the ADR if you're interested in that topic. No? Okay, I'll leave it at that. Further ADR review, let's see here. I have to look at my note. We have a whole bunch of ADRs that were filed before we tried to reboot this process. So the governance committee is trying to burn through a backlog now of the ones that are not new. And we've got 2 ones here that are not new. They were filed a way back, but we want to open the request for comments period now so we can kind of like formally process them. One's from Ryan and one's from Adam. Ryan or Adam, if either of you are on the call, Ryan, I guess first, do you want to talk about ADR 48 at all, just to give people an overview of it, or just let people come to it? Async, I mean.
Yeah, I can give a quick overview. I'm not going to go into all the details, of course, but Basically, users had been requesting the ability to take some of their build time security scans and move them to the integration service in order to speed up their builds, as well as run those scans concurrently with their long-running integration tests. So this ADR proposes a solution for that. It deals with how we're going to create attestations from the integration service, as well as how we're going to serialize the tests in the integration service so that we can make sure that the conformance checks still work, as well as how we can deal with having multiple attestations, because we can do reruns in the integration pipeline, so we might have multiple attestations for a given image. So yeah, please take a look, ask any questions, provide any feedback you want.
I remember one of the things we were debating when this was coming around was whether the integration service that's producing these attestations, is it going to use the salsa provenance predicate for the kind of attestation that it's going to generate?
Yes, yeah, it's going to be using chains and using the salsa provenance, at least for now.
Yep. So I misspoke. It's not integration service that's going to generate the attestation. It's chains that's going to generate the attestation.
Yes, that's correct. So we are basically outputting certain things in the results of the integration test pipelines that will tell chains to create an attestation for those pipelines.
Cool, thank you. Any other comments on this one? I heard a ding, but what was the...
I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
This is great. I remember looking at this a while back, and there was some issues with the existing conformal policies when it comes to this. When you have two build provenances that way. I don't remember exactly what the details were, but I haven't reviewed the ADR. But is this something that you guys are tracking? Or identifying that as a potential change that may have to happen in the existing conformal policies, which could end up being quite a big amount of changes. Just don't know if that has been taken into account.
Are you referring to the risk where a user, say, runs their ClamAV integration test and then reruns it later, and as a result has two attestations?
No, not that one. I'm referring to, I think when I first tried this out, because it's something that you can try on today, Conforma was trying to validate each salsa provenance individually. So it would, if you have like this list of required tasks, you would expect each provenance to have all those tasks. So there's like weird things like that we may have to take into account. I think we should still do it. I'm just identifying some additional work that things that may need to be tweaked as part of this.
Yeah, that particular issue I actually did not address, so I'll make a note to take care of that later.
Cool, thank you.
Andrew, I saw your hand and then it disappeared. Are you good?
Yeah, that's good. I was just going to provide what Louis provided about the issue that we encountered, because I tested it out. I wanted to see if it worked. It didn't work.
Cool. All right, awesome. Thank you, guys. Any others on this one? Hearing none. Adam, do you want to talk about the VSA attestations one?
Yes. So the gist of this one is we would basically enable our release pipelines to, or conformal policies to be able to consume a summary attestation versus the more detailed attestations, and use that as part of the release process. It overlaps. I think we have an existing ADR already. If not, this might be, and maybe this should be considered a dependency of it, or it depends on it, where we want to introduce VSAs into our build or integration test pipeline so that we can speed up some of the processes and performance checks. So this would, in some ways, be an extension of that. The other thing that's kind of, thing that this opens up is that we can, in theory, use Konflux to just release content that's coming from elsewhere, and that other entity is providing the VSA as part of their build process. There is a use case that on the Red Hat side we have for this. And since this is upstream call, I don't want to go into too many details, but that is something that in theory we can do, where the build can happen on a different system, but it's providing information that through the summary attestation and other things that are attached to the artifacts through the referrers API, we can use to validate the component before we release it.
Cool. It makes sense to me, Adam. Thank you. And if no, any other comments or questions on this one?
I think the only additional comment to put out there is there was a discussion about like which format this needs to be, because there is a VSA is a format that is defined for Salsa, but it's like specific to Salsa. I know, Andrew, you had been working on a similar kind of idea that is more in general with the Intoto community, and I think that discussion is still ongoing. Last I checked.
Yeah, the discussion's still ongoing. I haven't been able to focus on that specifically, but still, I mean, the in principle it's the same. It's just the format is different.
So I guess in my mind, I think we can probably keep it with the current Salsa VSA format, since that's a standard that we can rally around. And probably if we want to change it, warrants a follow-up ADR, just quickly say, hey, we're just going to change this. And this is the impact.
That makes sense. Andrew, if you have a link to that Intoto discussion handy, can you drop it as a comment in this one? And then even if we don't wait to incorporate it, we have the pointer for later to follow up on it.
Yeah, I thought Adam commented on it, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I didn't see it at a quick scan.
I think it's PR 470.
Nice. Here, I'll put a comment in the Konflux ADR with it.
Thanks, Ralph.
Okay. Looking back at our agenda, I've got one on the meeting results. So let me see. Greg says this is supposed to show me the results. It just takes me to the survey. Actually, while I fix that link, Gal, do you want to go ahead and take the next point, and then I'll come back to the survey results?
Yeah, sure. Just one note. If you can click on the link that I've added, let's show an example. What I wanted to say to everyone, please, there is this new concept, or don't know how to call it, standard of specifying pull specs with a tag and also a SHA. And something really interesting that I've seen today, even when the SHA is specified, if you specify the latest tag, it will cause Kubernetes to add the image pull policy always to the pod spec, and then the images will be always pulled, and the node's cache won't be used. And we have a lot of tasks that refer to images like that, the builder task, YQ, and more. And it just caused a lot of load on Quay, and we hit rate limit by the kubelet itself. So we need to change it. I was surprised to see it today, but this is the behavior. Yeah.
That is amazing. Does that seem like a thing that should be fixed in Kube?
I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
that's always been the case in Coop, that if you have the latest tag, it's always going to fall. I think
Yes.
that's like,
But in this case, we
Whether
have the
it's,
latest tag and the
and
digest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe in later versions, I don't know. Like I didn't check what our clusters currently run for. In the cluster that I've checked, it ran OpenShift 4.17. I don't remember which Kubernetes version is it. Maybe on all the on newer Kubernetes version, this issue was fixed. I don't know, but currently, or on not the newest Kubernetes versions, for sure, that's an issue, and we should we should change it.
Okay. Well, let's take an action to go. I mean, I guess everybody go look for your own images. If you're using the latest tag, just remove it. Like in the case of that YQ image, I own the YQ image everywhere it's referred to. Since we don't have other tags, we could just drop the tag. And I think Renovate will bump the digest, assuming latest. Louis?
Yeah, I know there was a in chat there was a comment about renovate. I think if you omit the tag, renovate assumes latest. But that's just from what I remember reading the code last year or so. But apparently there's a way that I don't know who shared in the chat if there's a way that you can see like what things renovate is identifying in your repo. Gal, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at that to confirm that renovate does work as expected.
I still no, I still haven't. Like I didn't try to make the change, and need to check.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Thanks for bringing it up, Gal.
Sure.
I'm going to share screen to show the survey results on time change. Can you see these results?
Yep.
Yep. I can only look at these because I'm the owner of them. And Greg, to your question in the sidebar, I think if I create a sheet based on them and share the sheet, then everybody can see them. But I think that might include people's email. I'm not sure, but I'll process that afterwards. We'll just look at the summary here. And if you want to look at the results afterwards, reach out and I'll try to get you a usable link. Should we change the time of the community call? We got major agreement, some ambivalence, some major agreement. If we do change it, should we vary the time every other week? We got 3 responses that said yes. To me, it's weighted on the no side. Some people ambivalent. I think 3 plus 5 is 8. 1 plus 3 is 4. So more against than for. And then looking at times, I see Tuesday at here. If I scroll sideways, you can see this is the count of responses going up. So there were 10 responses for Tuesday at 12:30 UTC and 10 responses for Tuesday at 13 UTC. So I think one of those 2 blocks is probably going to be our time slot we move to. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I can't see what that ding was while sharing. Somebody raise their hand?
Ralph, nobody had a comment. It was a chat message.
Oh, chat message. Okay, cool. All right. I guess any questions about this? I think KGC can take it offline and talk about it to make an official call on it. But I think I mean it's looking at like moving a few hours earlier on Tuesday is going to be our best bet for the current set of attendees. With that, I'll stop presenting. Cool. That gets us to the end of our agenda. Any other topics people want to bring up? Okay, if not, thank you, everybody. I'm going to end the call.